All right. Okay. Welcome again to another stream. As I'm Zero Ends here, and like to happily welcome to another wonderful stream. Today's subject, we're gonna deal with suicide. Um, one thing before I start, if you're familiar with Zero Ends, the YouTube channel, please subscribe and hit that top bell, or I should that top notification bell. Also, leave comments at the end of every stream. I would appreciate hearing from you. And if you're listening right now, watch right now, or going to watch this, if you like it and you feel it was helpful, give it a like or a dislike. And then a comment would be better to know, express your feelings. So I'm going to give y'all a few minutes, or give myself a few minutes before I start. So be patient. Start. So be patient. All right, guys. We can now begin. I title this The Endangered Black Family in in the 21st century. Chapter 7, Black Women, and in terms of why Black women are turning to suicide. It's going to be very much a touching subject, but a subject we need to look at nonetheless. So let's begin. Today, psychoanalytic insight has been backed up by sociological research to what we call corroborate the observation made by Sigmund Freud and the group psychology and the analysis of the ego, to the effects that when we choose a what they call mate, We select someone to complement our ego ideally. We choose our better half. Opposite attract, as they said in the streets. But when your better half has violated your raw sensibility, the feeling is like being attacked by an integral part of yourself, as if your ego has turned upon itself, arousing still yet unresolved emotions and conflict with your first love, objects, and parents, particularly the parents of the opposite sex. There is so much more to it than that, as we shall see, but there are only two sides to the coin of violent death, homicide, and suicide. Some theorists have even claimed that suicide represents an unconscious wish to homicide, but let us not be merely psychologically. We are about to discover the presence to your sociological law bias of the ethologically or ethologically of the new rise in suicide rates among black women, especially young black women. Although we are dealing with age-old phenomenons or suicide and homicide, we are on the new development when we take up the study of the proliferation of suicide amongst the people, black people who previously shunned this essential non-African solution prior to the rise of worldwide Europeanization. So let us keep an open mind, free to learn from whoever source we can find a portion of our understanding. We must employ the tools of that total, what they call amateurism of psychology, sociology, historical analysis, economics, and the political or the politics of power. We cannot afford to rest our case on either one of them alone. We need them in a compositing, and we need the combined ingredients of a cake. Marx, for all the insights and wisdom, could have profited from individual psychology to help explain the individual difference, why some people in the proper conscious while others cling to false consciousness. You hear that? At the time of the study, psychology was a very young discipline. Freud had not yet popularized the use of the unconsciousness, so that Marx could predict that capitalism would generate so much misery as to move the what they call proletarian to rise up. Actually, in times of misery that is too severe, people tend to grow apprehensive, demoralized, immobilized, filled with intransigent despair. Apathy and escapism are their basic attachments. Thus, crackpot militant who scorn the studies of psychology on grounds that it's conservative are restrained by narrow vision, but not seeing that all discipline in an oppressive society are essentially oppressive. This is no less true of economic standard psychology. What we must do is to take the best of what is available from whoever source and leave the rent alone in the process of placing all knowledge in the service of social change. But we must digress. We are dealing here with the new upturns in the suicide of black women. But just as we cannot understand a problem brewing among black females apart from black males, we also cannot understand the emergence of suicide apart from homicide, what suicide presents to the black female. In fact, homicide presents to black males today. You can't understand one without the other. Let us take up the matters of homicide first. According to computations we have made of data presented, in the Chicago report studies prior to 1975, roughly now 45 years now. The black woman is about 9 times as likely as the white woman to kill her mate. Let's read that again. I feel that resonated. The Chicago report study prior to 1975, the black woman is about 9 times as likely as the white woman to kill her mate. Has things changed after 45 years? Not much. We will understand the reason why. Pre-unit us first to point out that our own systematic, independent, psychosociological, and sociological interviews conducted among black women found them feeling provoked to such violence by their males and that their own was retaliatory and primarily in self-defense. In any case, the white female was less likely to kill the white male than the white male is to kill her. While within a romantic entanglement, that word again, entanglement, the black female was almost twice as likely to kill her mate as the black male was or is to kill her. However, when motives are not restricted to love triangles, black males, 70.3% of all males killed, are overwhelmingly the killers, which is 78.5%. By contrast, 92% of the black person killed by black females were not females, but also black males, and black women comprised 87.3% of all female offenders in homicide cases. Homicide in Chicago and elsewhere in this country appears overwhelming in matters of young black males in their 20s, killing other young black males, and too often leave one or more young black females alone and broken-hearted. But let us not get bogged down in figures and sentimentality, for we are about to discover a crucial social factor. Psychiatrist Frantz Fanon, the guy who wrote Black Skin, White Mask, has already suggested that oppression breeds jealousy, envy, suspiciousness, and mistrust, as well as rage. We also know that the long emergent but only recently celebrated black male shortage has ushered in new sorrows. But there are other reasons why the black male finds it hard to keep his commitment in his love relationships, to such an extent that the black female is increasingly implied to seek resolution and impulse to kill, and sometimes more recently to die. Now, it is hard for most of us, including scholars and intellectual, to get the bottom of the deeper issue. Among other things, we are restricted and restrained by the statistics white scholars make available to us. They will tend to prevent the data in a way to conceal those things that wish not to acknowledge, or to grant makers are inclined to pay them to minimize or skirt. When it suits them, for instance, they will use 10-year times per to skip over shorter trends, such as occur between 1965 and 1970, when the movement for black consciousness provoked a brief period of restabilization in the black maternal stability, along with the white feminist contentions replacement of the late 1960s. Black consciousness movement placed on the center stage of polar culture reform came to suddenly corrosion of maternal stability. For all American groups, this puts an end to the general overlooks restabilization of the black conscious movement. Out of the genius of our people, the black consciousness movement had instinctively sensed that within a patriarchal society, there can never be a psychosocial, economically thriving black race without a psychosocial, economically thriving black male. And we're going to stamp that right there. And I'm going to make a pause. When you ladies raise your sons and you don't prepare them for the future, that means make sure they're up to reading, writing, arithmetic. Have money saved down. Prepare them for a sense of leadership. Put it in a position where, or a situation where he has to think critically and be leaders in it. Because he's going to lead you regardless. If you are not doing that, you are preparing your child, your boy, to become a perpetual boy. Or the term baby boy, the movie itself. As you can see from the movie itself, it explains it all. You don't need to hear from me. And that movie came out 19 years ago. Let's continue. All this was wiped out by a sexual feminist liberation movement. Since 1970, all racial groups experienced a sharp decline in maternal stability, especially the black female. The black female continues to show the sharpest fall in maternal stability, and there is more to that than meets the eye. To the same extent, and all the same time, occupational message. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. Occupational, where was I? Occupational mobility. She has suffered the heavy price of crumbling sexual and emotional satisfaction. Hold on. All right, 1 second, guys. Let me find the all right. Let's see where I'm at. Okay, I'm still live. Okay, I'm still here. So let's continue. Now white statisticals and their black imitators are found of hiding the black male special social economic, what they call depletion. One way in which they do this is by ranking the median income in order to stress that the white female is beneath the white male in economic stature, and indeed beneath the black male as well, with the passing acknowledging that the black female is at the bottom. This what they call methodology ignores the culture and patriarchal expectation wherein even a white feminist prefers a man with some money or position. It also fridge ignorance of the well-known sociological concept of relative deprivation. Relative deprivation teach that if you have 4,000 in what they call Georgia, you may be well-to-do, but not in New York City. A female in patriarchal society such as ours is more highly regarded by just about everybody than a male with 4,000, and they will experience a different pathology. Those intelligent or intellectually familiar with the philosophies and the history of ideals will sometimes forget that a similar rank orders approach to social analysis was employed during the early parts of this century in the controversy over IQ and race, or race and intelligence. See this illustration. It was then popular to rank the figures and see that the white northerner exhibit the highest score on IQ tests, following by the black northerners, then the white southerner. And here I see like there is actually a graph, a little small graph. It's not small, but I'll read it. The rank order: medium income IQ score. Medium income white males. Second, black males. Third, white females. Fourth, black females. IQ white northerners. Second, black male. Third, white female. And fourth, black southerner. So always you notice with this study is always putting the so-called Caucasian male up front. Obviously, because his study. He didn't want to seem like he is less than because he came up with the stupid study. Southerners. And finally, the black southerner socially scientists typically conclude, therefore, that the intelligence was indeed to be inherited, which is garbage, which is bullshit. It's not a lie. Unfortunately, nothing inherit. You just come out the womb, you're intelligent. No, you got to put work for intelligence. That's something they don't teach you or tell you about the IQ. Because remember, IQ was designed after Nazi Germany during Hitler's reign. And it really was designed to really kill of lesser people, particularly people of color. But then I can tell you that. That intelligence was indeed to hierarchy and race more than environment. And social experiments in that no matter which region it statistically takes white scores higher than blacks. Wasn't this evidence of the primacy of race or hierarchy? With the emergence of the politics of liberalism, subsequently to world wars and mass urban migration, it becomes more acceptable in scholarly circles to look at the figures in a different way and conclude that insomuch as the black northerner expels or excellence in the white southerner intelligence was not a matter of race and hierarchy, but rather of environment and opportunity. Let's read that again. Scholar circles to look at the figures in a different way and conclude that insomuch as the black northerner excels in the white southerner intelligence was not a matter of race and hierarchy, but rather of environment and opportunity. And usually in this country, they do put a hindrance or a barrier of how far the black male and black female goes, especially black males. The male are always the pinnacle of warfare, as y'all know that. The figures haven't changed, only the culture or the norms of scholarships or computations from the social and economic status of the black population. And the United States, as historical views, 1970 to 1978, reveals that when we employ the concept of relativity insomuch as all things are relatively, we discovered that the black female is unique in having changed her relative full-time medium income appreciably since mid-century. And here is the tragedy, she is also unique in having changes her relative suicide rates. And she has changed relative incomes and her relative suicide rates to about the same degree, roughly. Let us be quick to see this sociological law. Without a patriarchal society, it is suicidal to elevate the oppressive black female economic attainment without also raising the oppressive black male economic condition. Part of the evidence behind this social fact or law is widely known. The Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, Office of Health Research, Statistics, and Technology, Volume of Health, United States, 1979, revealed, for instance, that almost a third of the black female shows a level of distress compatible to that reports by 3/4 of an independent sample of mental health patients. These findings would suggest that more than half of the black female adult population of the United States lives in a condition of psychological distress. Psychological distress, sorry. Rather than psychological well-being, black women will tell you, if you listen to them that much, of all the stress they ever feel is fired in them, one way or another, by the behaviors of the black male as a social type, and particularly by their personal mates. Let us understand this matter well. We must close our eyes to nothing and most be up and stay on a P's and Q's. Brothers and sisters, outpatient mental health figures confirm our theory in revealing that the black woman relatively outpatients psychiatric challenges according to psychoanalytic theory of making a satisfactory love adjustment, meanings, and the challenges of dilemmas between the poles of social intimacy versus social isolation that confronts the human being in that passage of life. Predictably, this also is the conspicuous stage of the black woman new suicidal explosion. At this point, she's not only faced a depletion of the black male maternal supply by jail and prison, addition, homicide, pollution, occupational, situational, unemployment, underemployment, and the direct or dereliction of psychosocial escapism or psychological escapism. Sorry. She also must contend with the what they call dissemination of the young male's ability to hold to his romantic and sexual commitment today. Let me stop right here. If a man is making a certain status or he's in certain figures in his crane's business and working long hours, a man only do so much. He's not supposed to be conquering the world and blowing your back every night. Now, I'm not sure when this book paragraph, because it's written by both Nathan and Julius Hare, when they talk about romance, they're talking about all aspects. But this only varies by the class of the man you're dealing with. I'm not going into more detail to that. Y'all have to find out for yourself. We will not learn much about this by focusing upon the internal forces of inter-psychic conflict, such as the sexual romantic sociopathic that grips too many unsocialized males, or those of distorted or unfinished socialization in the urban slums, and their inability, even as they move into the middle class, to love completely. This tendency is eternized by the pimp, but reflecting to some extent by all of the narcissist individuals who adopt the superfly or jive can't demeanor. Having given up on early childhood, wish to feel love in a what they call matrifolical existence. These narcissistic males will focus instead upon the task of loving themselves and collaterally enacting multiple and contextual proof that they are loved by a woman. Within the content of the sexual liberation inherent from the white, liberal, radical, moderate establishment coalition, the black female has been implied to contribute to the young black male dilemma in sexual romantic commitment. The black female is driven all the more persuasive of the black male shortage, as she is to convoke and pursue the black male that are eligible, and in the process she obstruct the black male ability to give total commitment to any particular one of her sister. From the standpoint of history, a sense of which black intellectuals have seemed to lose despite their preoccupation with the relative safer bygone past, we can make use of an assessment of the consequence of social biological factors. It is popular now to what they call deride the use of social biology on the face of it because it has been misused. Aren't all scientists by the oppressor, but this is just as short-sighted as we have already suggested as ignorant biology, which also has been misused or psychologically, sociologically, or even economically itself. It permits us then to return to our analysis of the evolution of the black male-female sexual romantic dilemma, historically through millennials of evolutionary changes. The female was throughout the animal kingdom induced by the pain and responsibility, the fear, suffering, and consequence of pregnancy, sometimes leading to the death, slowly evolve a certain ambivalence towards sexual endeavors. This ambivalence was moreover centered by the cake of custom, with the development of popularization of the pills and the normalization of proliferation of abortion. Even the disengagement or the denigration of the maternal roles itself within the wisdom of sexual and women's liberation. The female has been abruptly released from her sexual mooring in our construct to the long evolution of the female reluctance and resistance. The male has had no time to preparation to develop and hone his faculties of sexual resistance. He, especially the comparatively rare and convenient upper middle class black males, is like a hungry child in a candy shop. He is unable to resist the multiple goodies. This is not to say that he doesn't try, but in doing so these days, he is at the disadvantage. Increasingly, he will be entrapped by the monogamous but multiple love of too many women. Some instance that it is approaching a battle royale, and there are those who confess to exploiting their newfound circumstance of sexual romantic privilege. We must help them to know the pain they are bringing to the young women. We must help the black men to live so that the black woman will not die. Note that although the relative suicide rate for black females is increasing, the male rate remains higher in absolute terms of characteristics of industrialized societies. A quite kept secret is that it is the young black male in his late 20s whose suicide rate has mushroomed most skyrocketingly since the rise of unsexualization. However, that is the subject for another work in progress. And that concludes that chapter. So, the thing you must learn is this. Because the society and industrialization is causing a good portion of the suicide rate of not just American people, but particularly black men as well. As y'all know, urbanization with industrialization, which is one the same, the reason why there is more cause of not only in depth with black and black violence, suicide rates is also neck and neck with not the black and black violence where we kill each other, but it was somewhat coming up as well. But it's not one of the categories of one of the leading cause of death in America. I believe still the cause of death in America is cancer. Last time I checked. Everything else falls suit. Violence is probably second or third, possibly maybe fourth. But the point is this about in regards to black women and their suicide. That's not surprisingly. I think now in the 21st century, I hear now it's not just adults committing suicide. It's now young boys and young girls starting creep and slowly increasing. And the reason why this is because how they're being socialized in the society. The one thing I'm concerned of the socialization moving forward with black children is they're not being groomed properly with cohesive, I think, families, parents. Regardless how they came in this world, they're here. The solution to correcting this and wrapping up is you gotta focus more on how your children are being groomed in the society, especially in regards to school system. How you raise them, how you attending to those small needs. Are you communicating with them as a parent? Either both parents or one single parent, mostly a single mother. It is your job as a parent, make sure your children come out right so you leave this world for them to be better. Anything less of that, you are considered a failure if your children come out wrong in this uncontrolled, uncertain environment and the future of where it's going to hold for them, not just America, but globally as black people, black males, and the black woman. So I will end this here. Thank you for listening to this chapter. We're almost, I think right now we are, for a heads up, we are halfway into this particular book. And as we wind down and we recap, hopefully, if I give a summary, which there's really no summary because what the information labeled out speaks for itself. If you notice, most of the data now has changed over the years. So, like I said, you take this from the grain of salt and you add it on now that was put out 34 years and really check the numbers now today and see, has things really changed for black people in the West, we call America, or things have digressed? Obviously, you know, if things has regressed and has gotten maybe a little worse depending on how you look and analyze data. Nonetheless, you got to do your own research to check where your position now in this society. So, thank you again for listening to today's stream. Please always leave a comment. You can also leave a like, and share this particular stream or podcast. Thank you again. Until next time, take care. Good night. Worse, depending on how you look and analyze data. Nonetheless, you got to do your own research to check where your position now in this society. So, thank you again for listening to today's stream. Please always leave a comment. You can also leave a like, and